All right, guys, so today we are going to be working on the brake booster for the Dodge Dakota LS swap. So as you know, or as many of you know, and if you don't, we have the LS swap Dakota in here, and we are almost done. I need to button up a few things, like some of this stuff, get my breathers on there to a catch can, little things like that. The brake booster, because the factory booster did not fit when I did this little custom clutch cylinder right there. So with that guy on now, the old booster was huge and it was running into that. So I got a small Amazon booster and we're gonna see if it'll work. The bolt holes all line up, so that's a plus. We have the radiator on here now with some weird pipe things I made to make it fit. No fans yet, but we shouldn't need them because it's so cold right now. The last wiring things that I need to hook up for this guy are this alternator wire, which just needs to get hooked to an ignition source to tell the alternator to start charging. Fuel system is done. All the wiring is done. MSD box is hooked up. Wiring's ran under the shroud. Battery box is mounted. Some of that stuff y'all have already seen. So really the last things are the brake booster. The clutch is bled and does seem to be working as of right now. See if this radiator I have will work. If not, I'm just gonna go back with an aluminum factory style Dodge Dakota radiator. It'll look a lot better. I just rigged this one in here for now because I had it laying in the shed. I still need to hook up like the heater core lines. For now, I just have the coolant lines looped on the LS just to make sure my radiator and my welds and stuff like that don't leak. If they do, I probably won't even mess with it anymore and I will just order a Dakota radiator. So really the only thing that's left is brake booster, which I'm hoping to get that on today or at least started. It might be a little bit of a pain, we'll see. The couple wires, which really being the alternator wire and then some gauges, which I don't have yet, and the exhaust. So we're super close, guys. Obviously a ton of testing, carburetor tuning, trial and error period, but that's where we're at to getting this thing running. So it's kind of down to the painstaking stuff, which I'm looking forward to doing the exhaust because I love TIG welding. I'm not exceptional at it, but I do enjoy it. That'll be relatively easy. I already have a muffler for it that I'm gonna use. It'll just be crawling under the truck, fitting pipe, cutting it, getting back out of the truck, that kind of stuff. So here's the brake boosters. And here you can see the side by side. So this is, I think, about 12, 11 and a half inches diameter, and this is 7. So way different. The bolt patterns are exactly the same. These guys work. I've already kind of test fitted it into the firewall. Now you can see this has a threaded shaft and this has this shaft right here. So length to length, they're pretty similar. So what I'm gonna be doing first off is, we will be keeping this hose obviously, putting it on the new booster, vacuum source. But what I'll be doing first off is taking apart this booster a little bit and seeing if I can reuse this shaft or steal part of it and put it on like another shaft that I can thread onto here so it is still adjustable. And then we will kind of do a quick guess at the height of that. And then for the front side, same diameter as well, the brake setup will bolt right onto there. So all that to say, I don't know exactly how this is all gonna go down yet. Pardon me, I'm just walking into the shop because it is super windy out and cold. They're calling for more snow, go figure. So what we'll do, and I've had a lot of projects going on lately, and that is why I have not been able to get a video out. As you can see behind me, there is a back rack that I'm finishing up for a buddy of mine, and it is pretty much done other than some weld cleanup. So we're gonna move that off the table first thing so I have some room to work. All right, we're done with this. Set that off to the side. Now let's see what we got here. So we got what I was worried about. It's a solid shaft, not ideal. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky because, let me get my new booster and I'll explain to you why. All right, guys, so the new booster here, I was hoping this was a threaded shaft and we could rethread it and fit it onto here. So we kind of have to take some calculated guesses on height. This also has a bump out, and that was sitting up about right there. So, wow, we really only need the end of this. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna leave it a little long. I'm gonna sever it about right here, and then see about putting a nut that we can thread onto this. Once we get the exact placement, I'm happy to fully weld this on here, but if I weld it on like so, and we're way too long, my pedal's gonna be way up in the air, if that makes sense. So all right, let's try it again here. There, got a couple of threads. That is good enough for me. So, lengthwise, it's close. Might be way too long, might be way too short. So, let's turn the welder off. I never leave my gas bottles on. Just in case they leak, then I don't blow a bunch of argon just out into wasted space. All right, so, wow, nice hair. So this guy's basically gonna go in here like this. Well, guys, it's officially in. I have a feeling because this is such a thick firewall, it's got like a backer behind it, that my studs are gonna be too short. So I'm probably gonna have to cut those off and weld longer studs onto, or use the original studs, but it's on, which is sick. So now I can kind of start playing with this portion, which again, I feel like these studs right here are a lot thicker, and this is going to need to be drilled out, I'm sure, like a charm. So this is what we have. So this is original. All this is original. It went back a few inches, which I had room for. Way more space down and around it. Up above it, you can see I can still get to this guy. Down in there, it doesn't hit. I can still get the cap off, get my hand in there, a little funnel, which is sweet. These studs will work. All that's perfect. This is lined up perfectly. So now it's just a matter of seeing if the studs on the booster fit far enough into the cab, or if I need to lengthen those. That's the last thing. If those reach, perfect. Pull it off, adjust it, start playing with it, figure it out. If they don't reach, then pull it off, weld on longer studs, cut them down a little, weld on probably the old ones that I pulled off of that one, and then no problem. But hopefully they reach. So give me a few minutes and I will take a look at that and see if they reach or not. All right, so after I got up in there and looked, this is a little bit long. It's kicking my brake pedal out too far. So I think without either of those nuts, it'll be like the perfect length. So what I'm gonna do is cut this flush and set it right on top of the threads. As much as I hate to, I'm probably gonna just tack weld it on there. I can always cut it off and do something a little bit better, but for now, that should be pretty close. Probably going to, much as I hate to, I'm just going to basically add length to the stud like that. So not that long though. We'll trim these guys down all to a good height where they're long enough still, and then add them on. All right, guys, so studs have been lengthened. They're plenty long enough, just fusion welded all the way around, so there's no, there's no bumps or anything like that. That should work perfect. Got them as straight as I could. Now with a little bit of leverage, I can tweak them if I need to. So now for this piece, what I did was I sleeved this, so I cut it real short, and then I sleeved it up on here so it's nice and straight. And then I noticed on the old booster, they kind of had it angled on the firewall. Actually kind of like that, like putting this kind of down, whereas mine comes in straight, because as you can see, this is perfectly flat, whereas theirs kind of actually set angled like that. So to make up for that, because this doesn't have a lot of downward play, it may be enough, but I don't want to stress it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. I'm going to weld these two pieces together like that, and then I actually made a nut to fit on this guy, so it'll be fully adjustable still. So this will get welded onto here like that. And then these two pieces will get welded together just like this. All right, guys. So this is what we have. So this is offset on purpose, and then hopefully this nut didn't heat warp much. Nope, perfect. And then it's going to thread down onto here about to the end of the shaft. Oh, and like this. So now it's on the bottom, compresses, it's adjustable. So studs are lengthened. Let's go see if it works. All right, guys, we are running out of daylight fast, so we will get this thing fitted in, make sure my stud bolts can go on, and hopefully be done with the brake booster, which would be sick. Oh, that fits like a charm, like we expected. Studs seem like they fit. I'm hitting a little something, though, on one of them. I think with just some gentle hammering. Fits like a dream, guys. Couldn't be happier. Lowering that piece down was the perfect call for the brake to actually hook onto. So I'm gonna go finagle these couple nuts up there. I will still need to adjust the push rod on that brake before I can bolt this last piece on out here, but I'm super stoked. That was one of the last things that was kind of just gonna be a little bit of a pain. So I'm gonna get that done, get everything bolted back up, and catch up with you in a second. All right, guys, it's getting dark, obviously. So it's fully bolted in. The studs were long enough. I ended up taking the little plunger out of the old booster because it's kind of got this cone shape on it. The other one kind of had a flat head. And then I measured, and it's roughly, it's so cold I can't even talk. It's roughly sits about an inch out of the booster, so this one's also a lot longer. We're gonna go ahead and thread this guy. I did have to cut threads on this because the threads that were on here were a metric thread or a standard, I don't remember now, but they were not the right ones. So we cut new threads. Now we're threading this guy in. Well, that may be in as far as it goes. I may have to trim it down just a hair. No, that's about perfect. Well, guys, I will say that could have been worse, but I was expecting it to be a little bit easier, which that's just my mistake. I didn't realize I was going to actually have to do as much with it as I ended up having to do. But that's okay, because the only thing left then, so everything inside the pedal, all that's hooked back up. Can't get this nut started. So the only thing left for the brakes is just run the actual vacuum hose, which I just need to get a long enough piece to go over there towards my carburetor. And that will be everything done on the brakes. Let's go nice and snug on those. And just like that, brakes are back on. So that's kind of the end product. I'll flip you all around. Here it is, plenty of clearance. The booster line, vacuum line will go there over to there, but it's on there. And I couldn't be happier. It's tiny, so we'll see how good it works, but at least we still have vacuum assisted brakes. And then for in the truck, not much to look at in here other than it's pitch black, but you can see brake pedals right here. It's clipped on, so that's pushing the booster. Clutch is here. I'm wrapping up a few things on that still, but it is functional, so clutch pushes, and they are gonna be about the exact same length. So as you can see, I had to trim this down because originally it's a long pedal, and this was just not gonna clear my custom clutch pedal. So I'll kind of, you know, I may at some point put another foot peg on here, just pop this off and weld on a new piece. But for now, that'll work. Plenty of clearance away from the gas pedal, brake, clutch. But we're getting there, guys, I promise. We are wrapping up. Now that really just brings us down to a couple wires, radiator fans, I forgot to mention that earlier, the fans, the electric fans, and then exhaust. So it is freezing out there. Whew. But we are getting there. We are really, really close. Thanks for sticking with me. This is always the slow part of any build. Obviously all the custom stuff. In this case, there wasn't a ton of crazy custom stuff I really had to do. But then I just got mega held up with the terrible weather and the freezing cold. Like, it's freezing out there right now. I think it's like in the 20s. So it's pretty brutal. But just had a few minutes and was like, hey, if I could get this brake thing done, that's just one less annoying thing. And then as soon as we get a nice warm day, the next thing up will be the exhaust. Take a couple test drives around the yard, make sure nothing completely falls apart. Get my couple gauges put in there, or find a set of gauges that I want to actually run, like, you know, at least temporarily, permanently. And then we will be ready to take it to the streets. So super excited for that. So stay tuned, guys. Be good, be safe. And as always, thanks for tuning in and share the love. Again, this is not going to be a super exciting video. Just want to get a video out there because I know it's been a little while with all the other projects and work I've had going on. But appreciate y'all watching, and we'll see you next time. Peace.